Andrea, thank you
Yes,
for being in the
no,
podcast,
thank you.
man.
Thank you for your time. This is awesome, and I'm very excited to start.
Well, you were watching the podcast. You're friends
Yes,
with Vincenzo,
that's right.
And you said, "Hey, I would like to be a part of this." And we had a nice, cool conversation actually just
Very
back
well,
there.
exactly.
Which now I think I should have just started recording right away because it was a good conversation. So, but you're here today, and we're
Yes.
gonna kind of repeat the conversation we had
Yes,
last week.
absolutely.
Because I find your story to be very interesting. Like I said, the connection you had with us here is Vincenzo,
Yes.
the wine world. But we're not going to go there just yet. If you guys like the wine side of things, stay tuned. We're going to be talking about that. But we're going to talk a little bit about your journey all the way
Yes.
to today, to this point, and what you're doing today in your professional life. But,
Absolutely.
tell us a little bit of who Andrea is.
Okay, so Andrea is today 29 years old, so not 30
I
yet.
wish. Okay, I wish.
And I'm originally from a small town called Faella, 4,000 people, so in the
Nice.
middle of Tuscany, small reality where everyone knows everyone knows that if something happen, all our ears are up.
There's a bit of the good and the bad side of that.
As always.
Like anything in life, yeah, you're right. It's sometimes living in a big city like this with so many people,
Yeah.
you do become invisible at points. People
Oh, yeah.
don't
Oh, yeah.
communicate as much. They're not so
Oh, yeah.
relatable. They're not so friendly. Everybody kind of has their own life,
Exactly.
keeps to their own life. So in that sense, the small town has a bit more of a familiar, a family connection, right?
Yes, that's right.
But I do agree on the other side. Sometimes it
Yes.
might be a little bit too much.
Yes, I
right?
used to remember there was there still it is these grandparents of one of my best friends when we were, when I was still living in Italy, and all the time she was saying to me, "Oh, hi Andrea, how are you today? All good, all good, all good." And then this at morning, and then at night, "Oh, you finished your shift at work?" Yes, I finished the shift at work. It was just right there on the balcony, see, and you're like, "Oh my God, you are my camera?" Like, it was something funny.
There's actually this meme, and obviously being raised in Portugal, I think the culture is kind of the same thing.
Yeah.
But there's this meme that goes around a lot in the Portuguese memes, which is like these old ladies. And then it says on the top, surveillance, and it's true. Like, these older people, they retire, they have nothing else to do. And it's such a small place. They see people going to work, coming from work, doing this, doing that. So they know
Exactly.
everything.
Yeah.
If you want to know anything about your town, you just go up to them and you ask, and you'll know everything.
Much better than a camera that you can buy at Best Buy, They record precisely what they have to record, so it's a fun thing.
So how was it living there? And then what was the turning point that you said, okay, let me try moving around?
Turning point, thinks it was my actual wife, Katia, that, we met each other when I was working in Chianti, in Raddan Chianti, and then...
So she's from Toronto?
Yes,
And
she's originally from Montreal, but she lives here in Toronto.
Okay, and then she went on holidays,
Yes.
and Prince Charming was waiting for her.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right. So my turning point was like, yes, I want to change my life because I want to see how the things are going with us. And then we look at now, beautiful, super happy. This coming October is going to be 1 year of wedding, so it's something that is
Nice.
very happy. Our family are very happy. All of our friends are super happy for us.
What was the turning point for you to start getting involved into the restaurant business?
So I think I always had the passion seeing my nonna cooking at home and be there all the time to looking at her preparing the tomato sauce, the ragu, and I remember Sundays doing ravioli before to have the actual lunch with my parents and the uncles and the aunties. So always being around, heaters, oven, and bag of flour to do those
that
beautiful,
amazing smell that comes
exactly.
from the nonna's
so those
kitchen.
very unforgettable perfume aroma that they will always stick in your brain and they will never go.
So how old were you when you were when you kind of told yourself, I think I like being around the kitchen?
The time where I was finishing middle school and then I have to choose where I have to go in high school. So there was engineer, there was designer, and there was other different kind of schools at that time as a high school program. And then there was Culinary Institute. So I said, okay, you know, I'm gonna try Culinary Institute. And at that time there was the program where they're gonna give it to you 3 years and oversee 3 different departments. Those departments were kitchen, another one was the dining room, or at the same time to be on the floor as a manager, and the other one was receptionist or a host. So for the first 3 years they were doing this overview, and then at the 3rd year you're gonna do an exam in the field that you feel to get a small certification to start to get a job. So I decided kitchen at that time. Because always there, I always had the passion to cook, and then, you know, the physical exam was, you know, prepare a couple of recipes for the jury, and then you scores, and then they give you the grade, and then if you fail or if you pass, you know.
Was it as aggressive as, let's say, Hell's Kitchen?
Oh, no, it was very nice and mild because...
You didn't have Chef Ramsay's there? The Chef Ramsay's didn't show up?
I had in my, you know, and I want to say Toronto, then we're going to talk later, someone that actually worked with Gordon Ramsay. And at that time, it was that kind of scary chef saying, oh, you have to clean your freaking knife. Everything has to be nice and impeccable, you know, it has to be. So everyone, they were a little bit scared, and myself, like I am now, I'm not scared. If you follow the rule, everything is going to be okay, like in everything. So I was this kind of person, Chef Paolo. And they always remember a story when we were in the pastry section one day, and we were doing creme patisserie and other kind of base for our dessert. He said, me and you, we're going to do this, and the other, they're going to do other. So it was something like, I'm going to trust you to do those kind of things. And it was something like, people start to see something fun in me, you know, something like an ambition, something like, you know, a light that turn on. And then I passed my exam at the 3rd years, and then I wanted to continue my days in high school. So I finished the small certification, and then I got the other 2 years to do the restoration management program. And at that time, still I was in touch with one of the teachers that he was telling me, you know, you're gonna oversee in those 3 years those structure, kitchen, dining room, manager, floor, and hostess. And Professor Carmine was telling me, why you don't combine in those 2 years while you are working in the kitchen, the world of wine? They always go step by step together in what is in the restaurant industry, the world of wine and kitchen. Nowadays, I want to say cocktail as well. Okay. Because it's, I personally think, the Bermuda Triangle of every restaurant now. So
explain a little bit of that.
So basically, what does it mean if you open a restaurant or if you go in everywhere in a restaurant, you will always find someone on the dining room that can be a manager, someone that is behind the scene, that is the chef, and someone that is going to greet you and let you welcome. If you don't find a spot at the table, they're going to greet you at the bar, because here in North America it's very common to find seats at the bar and dine at the bar, the same menu that you're doing at the table. So it's something like how I describe the Bermuda Triangle, because cocktail, wine, and food, kitchen, they are the pillars of a restaurant now.
Is that something that in Italy is being done as well, like the whole like bar and then restaurant all in the same place, or is it still more very traditional where the bar's a bar,
if I may say,
and the restaurant's a restaurant?
Nowadays, as I said before, to move here in Canada, I think there was still an old school in Italy to see only the dining room and the kitchen, and the bar left a little bit behind. This was, personally speaking, just the kind of place in a restaurant where you have coffee at the end, or you enjoy the digestive. But there was no, personally, I remember the culture to have an internal bar where people can dine and, let's say, enjoy the cocktail and then the actual dinner. It was, I remember, in the restaurant I used to work, that the bar was Amaro, aperitivo, and nothing else. It was main dining room.
So it's just, specifically just for the coffee and just to get things started, but not, there wasn't like a huge focus.
Or to begin with an aperitivo, but neither to sit at the bar and have the full menu. Like it is at the table in the dining room.
But do you think things are changing now, even in
I
Europe?
think they're changing, and I think mostly this is happening in the biggest city, where you can find, if there are empty spaces that they were previously office, so in terms of permit, you can build a bar inside, and then you can have a different atmosphere. Now more speakeasy bar are rising also in Europe, I think, and as well as in Italy. Milan, I think, Rome, Florence, Turin, I think they are leading this kind of new restaurant industry.
Interesting. So you get this this chef telling you that you should pair wine with
That's right.
with food. And was that what got you into the whole wine situation?
It was a little bit the kind of try, and then at the same time, he was saying to me, look, there's another guy and he's going to those wine classes with, Associazione Italiana Sommelier, that was the main school for wine, to understand the world of wine in Italy and get a certification later. So, Giuseppe is going there, and you want to meet with him because we were going to Arezzo. So we were driving from Fael, and him was in Montanino at that time, 40 minutes of highway, then going there, then taste, and then come back at night, because we were doing the night shift. So we were starting around 8 p.m., 9, and then we were finished at 11. So it was a little bit of a long trip at night also. And I don't want to say it was scary, but, if you feel a little bit the alcohol inside, then all the time there was police, all the time that you enter the highway. So you don't want to be caught in the middle of your training or sommelier. So it was like, okay, we alternate each other. You're going to drink one time and you're going to spit this time. So it was...
I was going to say, because when you guys are doing all of these tastings and all that, technically you're not supposed to be drinking the wine, or are you?
Well, it depends on the situation. If
it's a really good wine, you drink it. If it's not,
if all of them are good,
that would be my rule.
I'm not gonna spit. That is the point. But if you have to go to work, or if you have to drive, you have to.
But from a tasting perspective, it will affect. Like if you start drinking a lot of the wine, then I'm guessing, I'm not a sommelier, but I am guessing that your palate will be changing.
Oh yeah, all the time that you take something into your, palate or mouth, everything is muscles. So more you train them, you can recognize flavor, aroma. So more you train your muscle, and more you're gonna get different perception of, that wine can be a Syrah, that wine can be Brunello di Montalcino, or that wine can be personally very high acid, or let's say, this is quite soft and smooth. So probably it can be different perception. But yes, sometimes you drink because you want to perceive how is the feeling of that wine on your body, and sometimes you spit, minus or less, you receive the same amount of information. That is the trick.
How long was that course?
So the school, we started in October. This was already 2012. End of 2012, and then we graduated May 2014. An year and a half.
Okay.
So it depends if you attend all the courses, if you don't miss any classes. And it was fun. It was very interesting.
Well, I can imagine it was fun.
Yeah, not only for the drinking things, but with wine, the beautiful thing, it's that you can travel in those places. Let's say in 2 years you want to go in Portugal, where you live. You want to see Dao, you want to see Ribeira Sacra, you want to see all of those places, because the sense of place where those wines are produced, they taste different when you are in physical person there.
Well, yeah, when you're at the location, things always taste better.
Yes, and it's bizarre because all the time that you taste a wine here in North America compared to something that is from Europe or other places, yes, you get the perception of, okay, that wine is from Australia, but the sensation all the time when last year I came back home and you try a classic Chianti Classico, it was a sensation like, wow, what is missing here?
Yeah.
My answer is the trip that those wines they do.
So you believe that it affects the wine?
Yes, I personally think yes, because there's no other relation of, unless the bottle is corked or there's some defects in the wine. Like, wine is like a person. When it travel, can be stressed, can be tired. So the wine
because there's a lot. There's like temperature. There's like movement, right?
Yes.
That affects it.
And if you storage the wine outside and like a sunny day like today, if it's on direct sun,
even if it's just a couple hours, that will change
everything. It can be probably ruined.
Yeah.
It can be ruined. So that is the thing that I all the time say, okay, I really hope the bottle is going to be okay.
You took the course because that was something that you felt that would be good for your future. But
yes,
one thing is taking a course. The other thing is liking what you're doing. Is that something that you actually, even after you finished the course, that's something that you said, I like this. This is something I want to continue doing?
It. And I actually finished my career as a little chef, sous chef, that I was in one of those restaurants in Tuscany to turn my profession in the dining room and be the sommelier, because I was really having so much fun chatting with guests, recommending wine, and it wasn't the kind of very stress and long hours like you were doing.
It's a very social job, isn't it?
Yes, it is. It is.
Yeah.
You have to love to be in contact with people. You have to interact with them, and otherwise, if you are doing the job only to, let them wait, that they open the wine list and pick a wine and then serve, and that's it, is something that doesn't apply to myself.
Yeah. The whole pairing food with wine, for me, it's I always have to ask whoever's serving me, because no matter how many years you've been dining and drinking wine. I do wine a little bit sometimes, but you don't have at least I don't. Like, I don't have the full perception of, okay, if I'm having this dish, what's going to pair up best in terms of wine. So let me just interrupt this conversation for 2 seconds to say thank you to the guys that have been supporting us here at the Creative Spin podcast. Café Brasiliano. This is the space we're at. So if you're in Toronto, or if you're visiting Toronto, now you know of a cool place to come and grab a nice coffee or sandwich. So make sure to come around, support these guys. You're supporting us at the same time. Thanks. When you are taking the course, is that an integral part of the course, to being able to pair the wine to a food, or is it seen as a separate thing?
Like they let you study theory that, let's say, apple tartine. An apple tart goes nice with Moscato, that is from Piedmont, is sweet, and is a balanced pairing. The other things is important when we were doing the exam, it was sectionated in different part. One, it was recognize the correct wine glasses for the specific wine that they were giving us. Then it was an hour and 30 minutes of theory, and I always remember the first question. It was, tell me all the DOCG from Veneto. And
all the what, sorry?
DOCG, so the appellation places in Veneto, where you do Prosecco, Amarone, and Piedmont, where you do Barolo and Barbaresco, but there's 13 in one side and another 14 in one side. So you have to remember all of those names, and this for all Italy, because it was a very main question. It was like, okay.
So was the course that you took, was it only on Italian wines, or did you have wines from everywhere? Oh, okay.
Everywhere. That was one biggest question. Then other question was, okay, so you are in Australia, how is going to be generally speaking, the structure of a red wine and a white wine? So very sometimes technical, sometimes very, easy to answer. It was a balance of everything. And then the last step, it was food and wine pairing. So they let you go in another classroom and they pour you food. And then you're gonna pair that, and you're gonna write in your exam what you gonna have in terms of perception of the food first, of the wine second, and then when all of them are combined. So it was a very nice technical things that, okay, so when you are on the floor, you're gonna tell the guest that is the perception that you're gonna have. Otherwise, the theory doesn't reflect the practical.
Do you feel that
Steps.
people, when they get to a restaurant, they want that information?
Well, it depends who. If they're curious, sometimes at the restaurant I see people just picking up the wine and say, okay, I want this wine. It can be a known label, it can be a known producer. Okay, sure, I'm gonna open it, everything is great, boom. Other people say, okay, what you recommend? We're gonna have, let's say, carpaccio, a tuna tartare, and then we're gonna have a ribeye. Okay, probably something to start. I'm gonna start with some white wine or other light wines, and then with the ribs or with a steak, I'm gonna suggest you red, something that is more precisely matching if you want to have a food and wine pairing. Other people, as I said, they just want to have a chat, and then sometimes, okay, I'm gonna have a by the glass, you know. And it is a very important to have a different portfolio of, let's say, grape and style of wine that match the kitchen.
Got it. What was the biggest difference you found between working in a restaurant in Italy and working in a restaurant here?
Big difference, I personally think it is the hospitality. I think how the customer it's perceive and how he received the hospitality in a restaurant in Europe, it's such a more warmed and less, like distance. It's more like we want to take care of you. We want to give you a very lovely experience. Sometimes here I found that there's only, hi everyone, how are you? Everything great. Intolerance, allergies, everything great. Thank you, ciao. So sometimes...
so it's very technical here.
Yes, sometimes I found very technical. It is more the hospitality that I think has to grow in the next years, and I think it's doing good. I think it's going good.
But that's kind of like a two-sided issue, because if you're working at a restaurant and you're trying to create that conversation, but on the other hand, if the person that's sitting there doesn't want that interaction, you can't really do much, right?
That's right.
I think it really comes down to people in general getting into that interaction with whoever's working at the restaurant.
Sometimes I saw some clients coming to the restaurant just I know they want their own intimacy, their privacy, just like everything good, okay. Can be a business meal, can be many reasons why they want to do that. But otherwise, curious people and other clients that are coming to the restaurant, if they're curious, they're gonna always have the kind of interaction and let you have the kind of, oh, nice, this is fun, this is something that I was expecting, and it did surpass my expectation, because it's nice when you provide not only a nice meal, but as you said, the interaction, the kind of more close chat with your customer. And it's also discovered people. And you always find some people that, let's say, drink too much red, too much wine, or they never try sparkling wine. So it's something like a way you can interact with them and create something new. That is what I really like about my job.
Were you feeling that back home you weren't going to be able to grow the dreams you had?
Yes, 100%.
Yeah.
Something like myself, I always see my ambition outside that town, outside also Italy, because system and the kind of perception when you are so ambitious and you want to bite the word, I'm gonna call it. So you want to show that you can achieve everything if you have the will, If you have power and if you have tons of amount of energy on yourself, you can do everything. Mostly here in Canada, North America, because there's a lot of, I wanna say, meritocracy. It's something like if you are a very strong somm, in Italy, someone that is working in a beautiful Michelin restaurant, it's gonna be very hard for that person give it to you the pass torch and say, okay, now you're gonna run that restaurant. Here is like, you are very powerful, you are very knowledgeable, I'm gonna trust you, let's see how the things are going. So they want to see in fact how the things are, not like someone is there for the past 10, 15 years and is gonna finish his career there. It doesn't want to give you the possibility to be there because they feel possessive.
Okay.
That is something that I found.
Is it that side of the traditional side of things that people hang on to? They don't want to pass it along to the other.
It's possibly, it's something like, it's also the system a little bit. If you jump inside a beautiful restaurant and you want to create your name, and if you want to create something like a very strong bond with the chef, it's like, I'm not gonna give you the opportunity to someone else to achieve what I want.
And
to
you
achieve.
find that here it's easier to do that?
I think, I don't want to say it's easier, but there's a lot of competition in the city. That is something I like. But there's, as I said, the meritocracy where someone like, director of operations sees in you possibility, chances that we can grow. I'm always opening to everyone if there's new somms that want to join the restaurant. Sure, let's do something together and let's, beat everyone else. But most importantly, let's improve us. That is what I always see, because it's not the single individual that does the difference, it's the team.
You left to start a new life in a different country,
Yes.
and but there's always that side of the family. How hard was it to leave the family behind, or how hard is it still?
I always think to myself that I love my life here, and I will never back to where I used to be for my past 25 years. Not because I don't want to stay with my family, but because I feel myself, I don't belong anymore to the house where I used to live. I think when my parents, they came here for the first time, it was very beautiful to see them again, have an interaction, let them see where I live, how the things are going, so they feel peaceful, they feel nice. At the beginning probably was the kind of situation, I don't know the place, so they were a little bit worried, as all the time parents are. Even if everything is great, we were talking every Sunday, I do video with my wife, so we were doing all of those things, but I feel like if you send a message today and technology helps a lot for that, it feels like they are here. Then, of course, you cannot have a coffee in the morning, that for sure. But it feels like the kind of, how you want to call it, homesick? No. Even if
I think technology has a lot to do with that, with the fact that nowadays you don't feel so far away.
No, I never, even if when I left, I didn't feel homesick. Of course, your best friends and all of those things, but they know since day one that it was the right things for you, so they understood. Yeah. And it's something like I was very happy to see, because probably the worries of everyone that they were not living here close to me, it's like, okay, how it's gonna be? So it's something that, but other than that, no.
So did you take any more courses after you came here?
Yes, so there was the pandemic going, so there was no chance.
That little thing that bugged us for a while.
Yes, exactly. And thank God now it's already passed. So when I moved here, they went and I received my first work permit to start my journey in the, let's say, Canada industry, in the restaurant industry. They didn't recognize too much the course that I did in Italy with the Associazione Italiana Sommelier. It wasn't as strong as it was the WSET diploma courses or the Court of Master Sommelier. So those two big schools of wine, if you want to come and jump in in the restaurant industry. So I was studying for some exam. I was enrolled in the course of Master Sommelier. So the first exam, it was everything online because it was only theory.
Yeah.
So I did everything online. I enrolled, I passed. And then some dates came up, nothing in Toronto because there was some stronger restriction compared to United States. So that November of 2021, I flew to Chicago because there was some exams. There were some spots available to do the certify.
Yeah.
So I flew to Chicago and I passed. And then I came back here in Toronto. And
Nice.
I was really, happy.
And did you find that you learned a lot more with this course than...
It was,
Or was it more of one of those things that it was a name situation?
It's not that personally it is a name situation. It's like you as a som or a individual, you approach the world of wine in a different perspective like it is in Europe. So it was like, okay, I have my certification from Italy. I'm gonna see how this wine school here in North America is gonna reply to what I studied before. So it was more a cross information at the beginning.
Okay.
That something was, okay, Bordeaux is this, Rioja is this, Portugal is this. Okay, in Germany there's 2-3 things.
Yeah,
to
because
know.
I'm here thinking, all of these different terms of Bordeaux or where they're from and all of that, it's the same. I mean, if you're taking the course in Italy or you're taking the course here,
Same
you're studying the
information.
same type
Yeah.
of wines anyway. So
But
I find that...
the approach, I personally think, is a different thing because you can talk and discuss about how the format of tasting in Italy was built, and then with my current wine school, the Court of Master Sommelier, is a different kind of approach. So it's more like synthesize everything. Let's say you are in France, you are in Bordeaux. The style of that wine is gonna be more a medium body wine, a medium plus body. It's not gonna be a full body like it is another pair of red wines, because it's the style of the region, has to be like that. Nothing is gonna change. So they're very stylistically. It's not like in Italy they start to one concept and then they start to add information, and then you miss the point sometimes. It's like they give you, little tip for your own things, and sometimes, okay, it's missing one specifically concept to analyze and identify that region. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's more like more notes on one side, and the other side, where I am now, go synthesize everything and then describe as much fast and precise you can. Yes.
Oh, it's just a lot of information, and I think what happens to consumers like myself is when we get to the restaurant,
Yes.
they give you the menu, and it's, oh my God, where am I going to choose from, right?
Yes.
So it's I'm glad you guys take the time to go through all of that and take these courses and get to know, so that you can help us poor
Yes.
little guys that are there just looking at the menu, going,
Yes.
what the hell am I gonna order here?
Oh, that is also, as when we graduate, the ability to create, a wine menu that, as I always said to myself and my mentors, they told me, just reflect how the restaurant is going. Because if it is more, let's say, a seafood place, how you can place very big, bold, full body red wine doesn't make any sense. So you have to analyze first where are you working, then
Got
build in precise accordance with the kitchen what is gonna be the nice balanced restaurant. Otherwise there's gonna be some things that of course you like, but you have to please also the client.
Yeah.
Sometimes
That makes total sense. That it's almost like it's not working backwards. It's the way you should work. You have the food, and now let's have the wine menu based on the food. It just makes total sense.
Correct.
What's in plan for the future?
Well, in plan for the future, I want to still improve myself in terms of knowledge. I want to improve my palate. I don't want to say kind of a situation where I want to have the absolute palate, the kind of, memorization and perception of flavor, where it comes, okay, I'm gonna detect cumin no matter what, even if you put just 1 gram. Something that is very impossible to detect. But I want to improve, this is the muscle, my palate. I want to improve it as much as I can to detect all of the little things that your nerves and body and yourself, they're gonna perceive as a beautiful sensation. So for me, it's more discover the kind of flavor more, improve my knowledge more, and probably one day I would like to open my own enothek, just to discover a little bit. Let's discover first clients and people, you know, let's say Italy or France. Okay, today we're gonna talk about what is Liguria region in Italy, and I'm gonna let you try all of the wine from that region, and then we're
almost like a little educational tour of the region.
So during the day, let's say you do regular operation with a very 2-3 plate, very well done, easy enothek, and then on a Saturday something more fun for everyone, like a class of max 10 people, and then you teach wine, something, but on specific region, not something that I want to provide a certification.
Of course.
Something that is more fun. And
more of a curiosity, more of a knowledge.
That's correct. Because sometimes there's beautiful places here in Toronto that they do also certification, they do kind of a deep diving in the world of wine, but I think we miss some time to go and interact without to be too much a teacher, but to be the kind of connoisseur that guides you in the world of wine, in the geography, in that region, and let you discover different flavor.
Great.
So something very nice.
I think that's an awesome idea. I think it's and pairing that with a nice, some nice plates of foods or tasting.
That's
at least.
Correct.
I think
so
that'll
to have that kind of perception where you have salty and then you have sugar, what you're gonna pair, and then everything blend in the palate with a little bit of wine, which kind of flavor you're gonna be. It reminds me my favorite cartoon, that is Ratatouille, when the little mouse Remy, he put in his mouth a little bit of a cheese, and then he put a little bit of a grape, and then they start to blend together, and then in his mind is more the kind of fireworks things of beautiful flavor, because this is what food and wine does.
Yeah, very interesting. Well, sign me up. I'll go.
Yeah, please
sign me up. And to finish off, what kind of advice would you give to somebody that is getting themselves into the restaurant, into the wine business? What would you tell them to do?
If you are very willing to start your career in the neither wine or food industry, but is more restaurant industry that cover all of those little appellation little thing. It's like, if you really love to be with client, or if you really love to cook and you like to work with people inside the kitchen or or managing the dining room with the front of the house team, well, start. I think in the city there are beautiful courses to attend in the culinary industry, and always grab curiosity. That is what I really want to say. Curiosity and professionalism, they're two beautiful things, and when you combine them together, it's like food and wine is firework, because you can create your own format, you can create your own restaurant, and you can be dynamic, and you can have beautiful goals and ambition. Sometimes too much professionalism, it's where we were talking about before, the kind of cold distance kind of service, and then when you have personality and you have dynamicism, you can have the kind of nice, fun interaction with your client. Then that is when it starts something. So when you combine those two main factors personally, then it is the thing, like, you enjoy what you do. Yes.
Cool. Andrea, thank you so much for being
Thank
here.
you.
This was an interesting conversation.
Of course it was.
I'm learning more and more about wine. One of these days, I'm going to be a sommelier. No, I'm not. Never. I like my wine. I'll drink it. I'll let you and Vincenzo and
we're going to have a nice bottle of wine with Vincenzo
I think
together.
the best idea would be having you guys here, and we do a full wine testing here.
Sure.
I think that would be, if you guys want to watch that, let me know in the comments. I think that would be an interesting one. I'll be like the client at the restaurant.
Nice.
You guys tell me, okay, this is why you should have
we
this.
can do a couple of different situations where, some some customer or clients are picky, so how you maintain the temper, and then sometimes
We got something going on here.
yeah.
I just got to get a cook now as
Nah.
well, you know, some professional cook. So the three of you guys can sit here and I'll just
Yeah, that
eat
can
and
be
drink.
fun. That can be a nice new podcast.
There you go.
Yes.
Thank you so much for
Thank
being
you,
here.
thank you, thank you. It was a pleasure having you today.
My
Thank
pleasure.
You,
Thank you.